die trying to keep him. The question is, are you willing to die trying to take him?
What do we do with them in the wild? Where do they go when they're out of the wild? If we don't control their population at all, then we're just left with a problem where horses are basically starving to death.
If I had the solution, I would tell somebody, I promise. But it's not simple.
All these wild horses here in the U.S. at some point came from some type of domestic lineage.
They were put out onto the lands to survive.
We do a good job of taking horses and holding and turning them over and making them usable horses. They can come very traumatized either by means of capture, relinquishment.
The horses coming out of holding do need a good foundation put on them so that they stop falling through the cracks and they end up going to auctions and kill pens.
They are wild, instinctual.
There's just a certain magic about them.
Mustangs are just like another level of horse.
I've pretty much been around Mustangs since I've been around horses at all. For most of my life, I was a professional skateboarder. I spent my teens and 20s traveling the world. That's kind of how I ended up getting into horses, is I met my wife, Chiara, when she was also a World Cup downhill skateboard racer.
I'm kidding. You know, I see a horse trailer drive by and it's like, there's a meme about it. Like, I want to stick my head out the window and be like, I have horses too.
You told me that your love for me was not strong as it used to be, baby. Baby. You told me the money I received was nothing but just chicken feed, baby.
What's the word I'm looking for? Like I guess just honest interpretation of what a horse is.
It's been fascinating to see how a horse responds with their baseline physiology almost completely unobstructed. I mean, I remember saying to Chiara early on with him that I had never really considered how much even I took for granted that I could just walk up and pet my horse. So to be confronted with that can give one a great respect for how much genuine danger we are in when we are around them. And it's so incredible how little harm actually tends to come to us.
I was the person that you would call to get on the horse that nobody could ride. You know, I wanted to go fast and win ribbons.
And I was always looking for a set of pieces that fit together better for me. If it was the simplest for me to understand, it was going to feel like the simplest thing to try to teach to a horse.
It was really pivotal for me that I was like, okay, whoa, like I just watched Zak ride this horse beautifully without even touching the reins. And like, I can't get him to walk a circle. Like the problem is not the horse. There is a component in, you know, kind of mainstream equestrian pursuit where the focus is very much taking the horse out of the horse. The first time I had a riding instructor tell me to beat a horse over a jump, did that feel good? No, it didn't feel good. It never felt good. you start to think, well, I must be the weird one. We're kind of tricked into believing that, like, if you want to be a good rider and you want to have a good horse, then, well, you have to use spurs and you have to use a whip and you have to use a big bit. I felt what it was like to ride without technique. It's this sort of quiet building of trust and building of communication. There is a synchronicity of bodies in motion that has to happen. It's that, like, light your soul on fire kind of experience.
In the last few months, I was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. All it really did for me with the horses is explain, I think, why I have gravitated towards them. Years ago, someone said something to me like, well, you know, we're all playing out with horses like the same difficulty that we have with people. But I thought at that moment, I was like, I have the exact opposite. Like, I wish that I could speak to people the way that I speak to horses, and I wish that people would speak back to me as clearly as I feel that horses do. Those are the days that are the hardest, when I just can't. I have one foot in the human world and I can't put 2 feet with the horses. Helping people to find their way to being able to get along with a horse better, for sure, has enabled me to see a really nice side of humans.
You know, thinking from sort of a young age, I come from a lot of trauma in my background, but I've always had the horses to come back to, and I've always had the relationships in my life with other people through horses to come back to, and I think, like, that is, I mean, like, quite literally saved my life. All right, bud, what do you think?
A horse can really help bring someone clarity in a world that is often a little bit more nebulous in terms of these emotional interactions. It can be painful sometimes for a horse to call it like it is, but also the human can really trust the horse when they tell them the truth. And if the horse says, no, I like you, I think you're a good guy, you can probably take that home with you.
Having ancestors who were the first ones to bring horses to North America drives me to continue to learn and educate others about Mustangs.
You have respect for this animal because, to no fault of their own, that they got captured and then they have to, like, follow through with this domestic life.
Seeing horses go to new homes that make people happy and they have a great relationship, that makes me happy. So
when I'm working with a Mustang that hasn't been touched yet, or it's like you're trying to build trust in a pen, you kind of have to, like, create this sacred space. Even if they are living a domestic life, they still have this, like, certain energy to them. A Mustang will drop your ego really, really quick. It's not instantly gratifying. There's nothing more powerful and more humbling and exhilarating than being with a wild animal and being accepted by them, stand in their space. So I think some horses are really called to having human engagement, and I think others would rather be out in the wild and be left alone.
this horse is highly anxious. Maybe I'm a highly anxious person. And how do I behave whenever I'm anxious? In slowing the world down and talking to the horse, I think you start to think about these things about yourself. Some horses may be easier to train than other horses.
What do you think? You let me know if you think I should rope it.
It's kind of pushing those boundaries and saying, come on, I'm not going to hurt you. This is okay. And you have to trust me. It's you and the horse. You develop this tunnel vision, and it's like your souls are speaking to each other. Put pressure one way and he responds almost immediately you have to be in the here and now. Your thoughts of the world just fade out. And you just kind of inch it. You're on this communication plane with this animal, and it's a really nice feeling. There's no fear.
That was quite a bit he went through today, so we'll let him rest tonight. But he's doing really good now.
Some of the situations that they come into in our domestic world that haven't treated them the best, and they still have that power or will to live and keep moving forward.
So we live very, very simple and very quiet lives up here. And it feels like time moves a little slower. The animals support you, you support the animals, you support your land, and the land supports you. It's a give and take relationship. You don't rely on others to take care of you as much.
Living off the land and living with the seasons and the natural cycles and rhythms of the world, with that is more resilience and less comfort.
Daisy sees what we do every day. She's involved in the lifestyle, and she loves it very much, so she doesn't like to leave the farm if she doesn't have to. They have probably the least exposure to horses of any generation, so if we don't educate them, who knows what the future is for horses or Mustangs or anything, you know?
It makes me super proud to be able to raise her and have her understand that there's wild horses, and she's just a little advocate for them. Taking them in the backcountry allows them to process their training. It's something that makes sense to them.
Horses to me are the legacy of the West. It shows us true freedom.
The people that are attracted to the Mustang are the ones that have that calling to come back to the land and rewild their soul.
There's no better way to see the country than on the back of a horse.
They take you to the places that are pretty untouched in the world.
when the Native Americans first saw the Spaniards on the horses, they thought they were one being. And maybe they're right, because when you're on a horse, you feel like one being. You're moving together as a unit.
Being on the back of a horse is such a profound and humbling experience. You kind of become one.
There's something in their head that allows them to have a bond with a human. You get off into the wilderness a little bit, and there hits a point where the quietness and stillness just hits you. You're one with nature, you're grounded with the horse, you're in that moment. And that's when you guys start to really trust each other. It becomes very spiritual. You're communicating with this being. I think we need to reconnect with nature as an entire society, and I think the further we divert from nature, the further we separate ourselves from all that is good. How do we deal with this problem? Because it's a complex problem, and it's not their fault. One of the main goals of Great Escape is public outreach and education, and bringing light to this topic. Yeah, we are helping to save horses, but we're never going to put a dent alone. It's going to take the entire public to realize what's going on. We need to find common ground on how to deal with these herds.
What I'm really seeing here in the States is that everybody's just trying to do a little bit better than ignoring them and killing them.
Just, taking one step forward at a time, one horse at a time, supporting them.
I'm a firm believer in education. I think people need to understand what's going on. Then we can start to put our heads together on solving the issue.
They have a grounding energy that is lacking in our culture and in our society.
I'm hoping that as our world marches on in the way that it has been, that will become something that is increasingly attractive to folks.
Horses have been in our life for so long, and now we're kind of circling back around and realizing that there's so much to learn from the Mustang.
They're really kind of the tether, I guess, for me, that really keeps me here.
The Mustang's the icon of America. I think they deserve to be here.
Pride is I guess the word that comes to me. Excited for them. They're going to be able to be successful in domestic life.
The world moves faster every day, and it's not slowing down for anybody, except those who will slow down and listen.